Hello and happy Webinar Wednesday. Super excited for this webinar. If you own an e-commerce shop or you work for one and you're looking for more organic traffic to your product pages, this webinar is for you. In this webinar, we are going to cover all aspects for product pages to rank higher on Google. And this is going to cover a variety of things: metadata, headers, schema, URL structure, product categorization, measurement, and more. And I'm really happy to have Jill join me for today's session. Jill is our SEO lead, and she's been on our live streams a few times before, really getting into SEO. But this one in particular, we're just going to focus on e-commerce, and not only just general e-commerce, but very much specific for optimizing product pages. Jill, you want to say hi?
Hello, I'm Jill. I've been working in SEO for a few years now. Happy to.
Awesome, great. So let's get into it. So before you start doing any type of SEO, it really all starts off with keyword research, because the whole purpose of SEO is understanding what people are searching that's relevant to your product or service, in this case product, and identifying that and then figuring out how can we rank for those types of queries. So Jill, mind taking a moment to share how you approach keyword research for e-commerce product pages?
Sure. So keywords product is we focus on the product that users are searching for. So your target audience is probably searching for common terms that will help bring them to your product. There's a lot of reasons that keyword research is great for product pages. It can increase your visibility in search engine results pages. It helps bring in more organic traffic to your product page. It also helps you rank better in organic search results. And there's a lot of tools that you can use to conduct keyword research. You could use a lot of third-party ones like SEMrush, Ahrefs, Google Trends, and Moz are a few of the good ones. And there's a few goals that you can have for keyword research. So understanding what your target audience is searching for, target keywords that competitors might not be using on their product pages can help you gain a competitive edge on other sites, and then helping reach more customers in your area.
Yeah, definitely. And of all the tools, do you have a favorite one that you really like to use? Like, I see this screenshot here. What's this from?
So we use SEMrush. SEMrush is a great one. You can see a lot of data around how much volume those keywords are getting, and then also the difficulty.
Yeah. SEMrush, if anyone doesn't have access to it but is listening to this, we have a full license for SEMrush, and all of our clients, because of our license, they do get access to that. So definitely a good one. And a couple things I really like about this is Jill has on the screenshot right here is, let's say you're selling leather boots. We can type in leather boots and it'll give us all different iterations that people are searching, and it breaks down the monthly US search volume, and it also breaks down the keyword difficulty. So that way when we're creating content or targeting specific keywords, we're really going to go for keywords that have decent volume, and also the keyword difficulty isn't that bad. But again, it all starts off with keyword research. Moving on, let's chat about metadata. Now, a lot of folks, they've heard about metadata and they kind of understand it, but the way I really like to talk about it, it's really like your ad copy for organic search. So what appears on Google and Bing and Yahoo and all the search engines out there, all the title as well as this description, that's actually something that you have a lot of influence on, and that's your metadata, and you really want it to be super unique and compelling to earn that click. And unfortunately, a lot of e-commerce shops, they just kind of breeze by this thinking that's not that important, but really it's your first interaction with a potential user to click on your product information and then ultimately facilitate a transaction. So Jill, why don't you share a little bit more about metadata, what it is, and how you really like to approach it for e-commerce?
Sure. Like you mentioned, metadata, every page should have it, and every page should have unique metadata. So it should never be the same for two pages. You should always have a unique meta title, which is often going to have your primary keyword that you're targeting in that title. It's going to be what the page is about. And then the description is going to highlight, often for product pages, features of the product, and then other things that potential customers might be searching for that are related to your product.
Definitely. And so, I mean, one of the things that we see, I mean, even just recently, and just doing an audit for a pretty large e-commerce brand, is they have, let's say, 100 different products or 200 different products, but we've noticed that a lot of the similar products, they have the exact same meta description. They don't really call out what's different, and really, as you can see in some of these descriptions, you should be very descriptive in that description, just to elaborate. So if someone's looking for example, a specific color of leather boots, and their product page is that color, make sure that you're calling that out, because again, you want, if someone's doing a search for a related product or a product that you have, your goal on the meta description is just telling them, yes, we have exactly what you're looking for. Map out all those different attributes, and that's going to help you earn that click. And in SEO, there's so many signals that go into it, but one of the, I'm going to say, top 3 signals of SEO is how people engage with your listings on Google and all the other engines. And if you're getting a lot of clicks, they're going to take notice and you're going to rank higher on the search engine, but it all starts off with that metadata. Jill, anything else to add on that?
One more thing to add on the meta title example on that slide, actually. So you'll see the first two, the meta title number 1 and meta title number 2. In that first section, women's leather boots is the first one, and then the second one is Dune. If you have a specific product name, so for example, this one was a leather bootie, and the product name was called Dune, you would want to have an additional description in there, because if somebody sees in search results just the word Dune, they might not know exactly what they're looking for. So just making sure that it's as specific as possible.
Definitely, yes. And just kind of translate that, because maybe you know what a Dune is. It's that type of product that you sell, but for anyone just searching, they're not going to want to know. So you just want to be very clear and transparent of what you're offering. So let's pivot a little bit into headers. Headers has been a strong SEO signal over the past 15, 20 years, probably pretty much since the start of Google. Still a very strong contextual signal. So let's break this down, Jill. Tell us a little bit about what headers are and what's the difference between an H1, H2, all the way down to an H6.
Headers are the categories of content on your page. Oftentimes, you will want to structure it with some sort of a header hierarchy. There should only ever be one H1 per page. Oftentimes, that's also going to have your primary keyword, and oftentimes it's going to be the same as your meta title. Underneath that should be a header 2, so that's additional content underneath that header. So for example, for a product page, if the header 1 was your product name, a header 2 could be the product description, sizing, care guides, shipping, or reviews. And then underneath that can be some subcategories to the header 2s, and those will be your H3s, H4s, etc. It's having a hierarchy is great for both users and Google to just have a better understanding of how your page organizes its content by level of importance.
Definitely. And you said it perfectly. It gives awesome signals to Google to really understand what that page and what that product is all about. And then also same for the users. And one of the things that unfortunately we see is e-commerce brands, they don't understand what headers are all about. They might have things just kind of backwards, of maybe a product description as the H1, when really the H1 should be the product name, and everything just kind of cascades and waterfalls down. And it's just given Google really solid contextual signals of really what that page is all about. And most of SEO, that's really what it is telling Google exactly what you have to offer, so that way it can match your product to relevant search queries. There's a lot of really helpful tools out there to audit your headers. Jill, what do you use when you take a look at headers on a specific page?
So if you want to look quickly for headers on a specific page, one good thing to do is just there's a little extension you can add to Google Chrome called H tag. If you click on it, it'll show you all of the headers, and it'll specify what type of header it is on the page. So it'll show you where your H1s are, your H2s, H3s, and more.
Yep. Yeah, super helpful tool. And then, of course, like this is something that we take a look at in every e-commerce audit that we do, just because it has a pretty significant impact. And we have examples where we work with clients where they want to break into the top 3 ranking on a high volume keyword, and sometimes it's just reconfiguring the headers so that way Google really understands what keywords that you're going after and what your page is all about. And sometimes just making some header optimizations is going to be enough to really jump up into different positions for the better. So moving on, so we have our headers, and this is kind of like the hierarchy of the page. At the top, you have the H1 and then down H2. Let's talk about product descriptions. Now, this is one thing that we preach really is that every product should have a unique description. Now, if anyone's just doing reselling products out there, it's very easy to just copy and paste manufacturer descriptions. But unless if you have anything that's unique and really of value, Google's really not going to pay that much attention to it because you just have the same thing that maybe 100 other retailers have. So Jill, let's talk about product descriptions. How do you approach it when optimizing e-commerce shops, and what do you recommend?
So the ideal product description is going to be as unique as possible to that specific product. So a lot of times this will include just highlighting the top features that distinguish your product from other products, and not even just other products in your collection, but maybe even other competitor products. Just seeing what those distinguishing features are. One example is on this slide actually. So a non-optimized product description for a water bottle will be very generic. It'll have maybe a little bit of specifications about the water bottle, so using filters to remove impurities. But the ideal product description is to include the product name. If there's for this example, for water filtration, if there's a water filtration that removes impurities, just listing some of the things that it's capable of removing is also super helpful for users. And then anything that distinguishes it from other bottles, so if it's made from eco-friendly materials or what other materials it's made for, even where you use the water bottle is another example.
Yeah, and it's also, in writing the descriptions, this kind of goes back a couple slides earlier when we were talking about keyword research. In doing keyword research, and we just type in, let's say, water bottle, we're going to be able to identify what are the different attributes that users are looking out for water bottles. And in this case, it could be filtration capabilities, and then we'd be able to see in keyword research that, yeah, they are searching for chlorine filtration, mineral filtration, impurities, bacteria, camping, things like that. And then you can take some of that keyword research and put it in your product description so long as it makes sense with the product that you're looking for. But the biggest thing on this is just make sure it's unique. You can't just copy and paste manufacturer product descriptions because you're not going to rank, and actually Google is probably going to ding you for that because it doesn't provide truly anything of value. So definitely go deep on it. It's going to help you rank, and ultimately it's going to help you sell too by having a very thorough and accurate description of your product. So let's talk about URLs for a little bit. Now, this is kind of like a larger theme that requires a lot of consideration and may not be the easiest to optimize, but super helpful if there's an e-commerce store that's looking to expand their products, so they want to figure out how to set up their URL structure, or even just creating a new e-commerce site and figuring out what's the best approach of this. Because we have run into situations where e-commerce shops, they continue to grow, but they didn't really map out what the right URL structure is for them, and then their URL structure just really has no structure at all. It's just a bunch of random URLs, and it's really important just to take 10 steps back and map out how everything should flow to each other. So Jill, yeah, let's talk about URL structure for a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, so URL structure is really important. It's definitely not something that you should hold off on. There's a few examples of some best practices in that slide, actually. So the first one would just be setting a canonical URL for those product pages. When Google is looking at URLs, there could be multiple URLs pointing to the same page. And a lot of times it's going to be because maybe there's a product page that has multiple different colors for that product, or maybe it has different sizing. Setting a canonical URL is basically telling Google that you have a single URL that encompasses all of the URLs pointing to that page. And you'll only want that one indexed, or you could risk running into duplicate content issues with Google. Another one on there is indexing URL parameters. So you don't want to index URLs with any sort of tracking parameters in them. Oftentimes, it just won't bring any value, and again, you run into those duplicate content issues. And then having descriptive words in your URL as well. So descriptive words are to make the URL clearer. It's going to make it clear to Google, but it's also going to make it clear to users. So when they are looking at a URL, they want to be able to see what kind of link they're going to, and adding descriptive words in there is going to be super helpful for that.
Definitely. And yeah, and if anyone has any questions on URL structure and canonicals, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us. It sounded like a little daunting, but really all you want to do is make sure that the right product in URL is getting the right type of equity. And just to kind of elaborate what Jill was saying, let's say you're selling men black leather boots. Okay, within that specific product URL, you're still going to have so many different variants of all sizes from, let's say, 9 to 13, all broken out by half. And if you don't set a canonical URL to that main product, which is that black leather boot, or even just that men's leather boot, you're going to have all these pages that are very similar, all trying to rank for the same one. It's best just to take all those pages and then point that back to the main pillar page. And then that's just going to pass all that equity and also be a better user experience. So when someone's doing a search, they're not going to land on a very specific size and color that may not be right for them. So take a moment to just assess your URL structure, where your canonicals are going, and making sure that URLs that have a lot of parameters aren't being indexed. But if anyone does have questions on this, because this is kind of a meaty subject, drop us a note, check out our website, risemkj.com. Happy to have a consult with you just to see the best approach for URL structure for your site today, as well as the site down the road, because more likely than not, you're probably going to be adding more products and categories down the road. And then, on that similar topic, URL structure and product categorization pretty much go hand to hand. Jill, in your experiences, what is the best way to think about product categorization?
If you have multiple products in your site, there's often different ways that you can categorize them. A lot of it is going to depend on just how your users might be searching for those products and which one of your products are related to one another. So a lot of times with clothing, you'll have some sort of collections that will help you separate and organize those products. Ideally, you want to have a parent category. This would be the all-encompassing category. And then underneath that, you can either have subcategories or go right into the products in that collection. It's going to help you organize things so that, one, Google can understand how to find things a little bit better, but also from a user experience, they'll be able to navigate your website better, and they'll be able to find either information or products that they're looking for much faster.
Yeah, definitely. And as you mentioned, it's really great signals for Google to understand what each product is and what the related products and how it kind of falls into anything. And then also from user experience, so many times when people are optimizing sites for SEO, they forget that it's not only just helping Google, but it's going to help out the user experience, and a better user experience is going to increase conversion rates. So in this type of an optimization in terms of product categorization, you're really going to hit home on both fronts. You're going to get better ranking from Google by sending the correct signals to really understand how your products fit with each other, and then also better user experience is going to boost up your conversion rate. So this is another one, and as I mentioned, it goes really hand in hand with the URL structure and optimization, but think of it as a hierarchy. You got your parent, and then your subcategory, and then your products under that, and you can even have another category underneath that, but just make sure it's a structure that makes a lot of sense, and you don't have a site that's just too flat. Awesome, thanks for chatting about that. Image alt text. I feel like most SEOs or people who do e-commerce should probably know about this, but we don't want to overlook it because images on e-commerce sites are everywhere. I mean, e-commerce sites are so visual, and even though they're visual, it doesn't mean that they don't have to, they may not send the right signals to Google, and we can do that through image alt text. So Jill, let's talk about image alt text. One, what it is for folks that don't know, and then two, the right way of inserting alt text.
Image alt text is on the back end of the site. When images don't load for users, it'll be some sort of description in place of that image that users will be able to see what they're missing out on. It also helps search engines understand images on your page through that description. There's a few ways you can do this. Oftentimes, it's not likely that you'll have two of the same exact product images on a page. So just making sure that the image alt text is as unique as possible to that specific image will help just add additional value and content to that page. So some of those examples on that slide, for the first one, there could be a few images of a leather boot on a product page. If they're from different positions, you can highlight certain features on that. So that first one is highlighting the feature of a working brass zipper closure on the back of the boot. It's a good way to just start highlighting features through those product images and showing why you want to have that specific angle of product on there. Another example is the sunglasses. So that's just a main one. It's descriptive even to the color that it is. So it's showing that it's a black colored sunglasses, and then the style of the sunglasses. The last one is an image of a model wearing a clothing on their product page. And always having that product name on there is really important because it's going to help people understand that you're not just looking at a woman sitting in a chair, you're looking at a woman sitting with the specific product on.
Yep. So many times image alt text is overlooked in a couple different forms. One, overlooked completely and there's nothing in that form just because it might feel a little daunting to add it for, let's say, a couple hundred or thousands of images. Or two, it's overlooked in the fact that folks just put something very generic. So on the left, it could just be brown leather boot, or in the middle, it could be black sunglasses. That's really not going to help you out. You really want to be, as you mentioned, Jill, as descriptive as possible, and that's just going to send the right signals to Google on these types of products that you have, because e-commerce sites, very visual in nature. You're not going to have as much text because people shop just by looking more so than reading, but this gives really great context to Google and the other engines to help you rank for these types of products. Next, let's talk about product schema. Now, this is a little bit more advanced SEO strategy. Schema is not new. It's been around over the past decade plus, but often overlooked because folks might be a little bit intimidated. Maybe they're not aware of what it is and what it can do. But let's talk about schema. Jill, what is schema and why is it important for e-commerce shops?
So schema is structured data markup. It's basically used so that search engines can understand the context of what's on your page a little bit better. It can be tricky to use. So for that reason, it's often best to just work with your web developer on getting that implemented on the site. It will require adding a little bit of code onto pages. And even the schema.org website, it'll list out different properties of product schema that you can use. You might not have to use all of them though, so you will have to navigate through that a little bit and see what are the most important things to add on the page. Some examples of that are actually on that slide. So adding the price into your product schema, product description, offers, reviews, ratings, even awards, they can help you appear in search results, in search results.
Yeah. Yeah, and getting back to how we're talking about the importance of meta description, because that's kind of like your ad copy on organic search. Better description, you're going to earn more of those clicks. More clicks equals more traffic, and Google and the engines will pick up on that and help you rank higher and higher because people are engaging with your listings. This is pretty much meta description on steroids, where it's very visual in nature and different attributes where you can list out your price points, your reviews in terms of stars and ratings, any type of offers or awards, and that can be appended to your organic listing. And again, the nature of that is earning more clicks, increasing that click-through rate. You're going to get more clicks, more conversions, and then the engines are going to pick up that users are really interacting with your listing over the others and start to increase your ranking of that. So schema does require some level of coding. If anyone is listening to this and needs help to put together all the product schema for you, that makes sense, whether it's price, reviews, rating, offers, descriptions, award, or others. We can definitely help out with that, as we have for other folks. Just drop us a line, visit our site at risemkg.com. But definitely don't overlook product schema. And then lastly, it's just really important to make sure you have solid measurement. As we say here at Rise, track everything, ask questions later. The data is going to share what's working and what's not, and you need to make sure you have proper organic analytics. So, Jill, what type of analytics do you usually like to use?
To track organic performance, there's a few things you can use. One of them would be Google Search Console. That's going to show you things like organic impressions, so how many people are scrolling through search results in Google and then seeing your link to your site on there. And then organic clicks, site click-through rate, and average position. You can also see your core web titles through Google Search Console, so there's a lot of great benefits to looking there and just making sure that that's set up. Another thing you can look at is GA4. They have conversion tracking that you can set up. You can see organic sessions on there as well, and a few other metrics that you might want to include. And then there's also third-party tools. So if you want to see your keyword positioning, so how you're ranking for a certain keyword in search results, you can use tools like SEMrush again for that. Definitely. And Rise uses a customizable dashboard through Looker Studio, so you can add all of that information into the same dashboard.
Yeah, definitely. We love Google Looker Studio. You can customize and just bring in data from Google Search Console, SEMrush, Google Analytics, and then just through one view, you can really have some really great understanding of how you're ranking, how you're trending, and things like that. But if anyone needs help either setting up a dashboard or setting up Google Analytics, Google Search Console, Bing Webmaster Tools, which a lot of people overlook, but it is helpful and important to set that up as well, we can definitely support. And then so just as we're wrapping up here, hopefully all this was helpful. If you need help optimizing your e-commerce store to rank higher for these product pages and your store in general, don't hesitate to reach out. This is my email, ben@risemkg.com. Check out our site, risemkg.com, also in the comments over there. Drop us a note. Happy to take a free look at your site just to see what the opportunity is, and hope this was helpful. So until next time, we will chat with you in about a week or two. For those who are listening, make sure that you subscribe, because every other week we do another live stream, and lately we've been very much focused on e-commerce, and we probably will for a little bit longer. Thank you, and Jill, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.